Boston is an American rock band from Boston, Massachusetts that achieved its most notable successes during the 1970s and 1980s. Centered on guitarist, keyboardist, songwriter, and producer Tom Scholz, the band is a staple of classic rock radio playlists. Boston's best-known works include the songs More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Foreplay Long Time, Rock and Roll Band, Smokin', Don't Look Back, and Amanda. They have sold over 31 million albums in the United States, of which 17 million were for their self-titled debut album and 7 million were for their second album, Don't Look Back. Altogether, they have released 6 studio albums. History. Before debut album, Tom Scholz first started writing music in 1969 while he was attending MIT, where he wrote an instrumental, titled Foreplay. While attending MIT, Scholz joined the band Freehold, where he met guitarist Barry Goudreau and drummer Jim Masdi, who would later become members of Boston. Vocalist Brad Delp was added to the collective in 1970. After graduating with a master's degree, Scholz worked for Polaroid, where he used his salary to build a recording studio in his basement, and to finance demo tapes recorded in professional recording studios. These early demo tapes were recorded with Brad Delp on vocals, Barry Goudreau on guitar, Jim Masdi on drums, and Scholz on guitar, bass and keyboards. The demo tapes were sent to record companies, but received consistent rejections. In 1973 Scholz formed the band Mother's Milk with Delp, Goudreau, and Masdi. That group disbanded by 1974, but Scholz subsequently worked with Masdi and Delp to produce 6 new demos, including More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Rock and Roll Band, Something About You, Hitch a Ride, and Don't Be Afraid. Scholz stated they finished 4 of the 6 by the end of 1974, and they finished More Than a Feeling, and Something About You in 1975. Scholz played all the instruments on the demos, except for the drums, which were played by Masdi, and used self-designed pedals to create the desired guitar sound. The violin-like sound of the guitars was created in the early 1970s by Scholz, and it became a truly distinctive innovation in American music. This final demo tape attracted the attention of promoters Paul Ahern and Charlie McKenzie. Masdi left the band around this time. According to Scholz, the managers insisted that Masdi had to be replaced before the band could get a recording deal. Years later, Delp told journalist Chuck Miller, "Jim actually told me he was losing interest in playing drums. I know Tom felt very bad when the whole thing happened. And then, of course, we started getting some interest." Scholz and Delp signed a deal with Epic Records after Masdi's departure, thanks to Ahern and McKenzie. Before the deal could be finalized, the band had to do a live audition for the record company executives. The duo quickly recruited Goudreau on guitar, bassist Fran Sheehan and drummer Sib Hashian to create a performing unit which could replicate Scholz's richly layered recordings on stage. The showcase was a success and the band agreed to put out 10 albums over the next 6 years. In addition to the firing of Masdi, the record label also insisted that Scholz re-record the demo tapes in a professional studio. However, Scholz wanted the record to be recorded in his basement studio so that he could work at his own pace. Upon request of Tom Scholz, Masdi played drums on the track Rock and Roll Band, and the instrumentation was recorded in Scholz's studio. The multitrack tapes were then brought to Los Angeles, where Brad Delp added vocals and the album was mixed by John Boylan. It was then that the band was named Boston, by suggestion of Boylan and engineer Warren Dewey. Boston. The debut album, Boston, released on August 8, 1976, was an enormous success. The record ranks as one of the best-selling debut albums in U.S. history with over 17 million copies sold. During the late summer and early fall of 1976, Boston attracted much publicity due to the unprecedented record sales by an unknown act, its unique sound, and singer Brad Delp's vocal abilities. However, there was a conscious effort to de-emphasize Scholz as the total mastermind behind Boston. After opening for Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Fogerty and others in the autumn, the band embarked on a headlining tour in the winter and spring of 1976 to 1977 to support the album. This helped establish Boston as one of rock's top acts within a short time, being nominated for a Grammy Award as a Best New Artist. Boston was the first band in history to make their New York City debut at Madison Square Garden. The album spawned 3 singles, More Than a Feeling, Long Time, and Peace of Mind, all of which made the national charts. Additionally, the album peaked at No. 3 on the Billboard 200 and remained on the charts for 132 weeks. Don't Look Back, despite having problems with manager Paul Ahern, being caught in the middle of a fight between Ahern and his business partner Charles McKenzie, and doing most of the recording work alone, Skulls completed the second Boston album 2 years after the debut album's release. The second album, Don't Look Back, was released by Epic in August 1978. At the time this was considered a long gap between albums, but Skulls still considered Don't Look Back to be a rushed job and was unhappy with the album's second side in particular. Overall, Don't Look Back sold about half as well as the debut album, eventually selling over 7 million records. Another tour followed, and the album's title track became a top 5 hit. Additionally, 2 other singles, A Man I'll Never Be, and Feelin' Satisfied went top 40 and top 50 respectively. Despite the success, Skulls' relationship with Ahern completely deteriorated. Delayed by technical renovations to his studio, Skulls eventually began the process of working on Boston's third album, determined to complete the album at his own pace and up to his demanding standard. Solo projects and CBS lawsuit. In late 1979, Skulls began writing new material, but Boston's former co-manager, Paul Ahern, argued that, according to an agreement Skulls had signed years earlier with Ahern, Ahern owned a percentage of all songs Skulls wrote from that point on. Delayed further by the dispute, Skulls suggested that in the meantime the individual members should work on whatever other projects they might be considering. Gowardrow then decided to record a solo album that featured Boston members Delp and Hysteria, and which was recorded with the help of Paul Grupp, an engineer and producer familiar with Skulls' studio techniques. The album, released in 1980, was titled Barry Gowardrow and featured the minor hit single Dreams. There was tension when CBS's marketing connected Gowardrow's solo album to Boston's signature guitar sound, despite Skulls not having played at all on this album. Skulls objected to the ad copy, but it became irrelevant when Epic dropped promotion on Gowardrow's album citing lack of interest. Gowardrow left the band in 1981 and formed Orion the Hunter. Delp contributed vocals and co-wrote songs on the debut album, but returned to Boston and recorded vocals on the third Boston album. While Skulls and Delp were recording new material for the third Boston album, CBS filed a $60 million lawsuit against Skulls, alleging breach of contract for failing to deliver a new Boston album on time. During this same period, Skulls founded his successful high-tech company Skulls Research and Development, which made amplifiers and other musical electronic equipment. Its most famous product, the Rockman amplifier, was introduced in 1982. The legal trouble slowed progress toward the completion of the next album, which took 6 years to record and produce. Joining Skulls in the album's development again were Delp and Jim Masdy. In 1985, guitarist Gary Pihar left Sammy Hagar's touring band to work with Skulls as both a musician and an Staradian and D executive. As CBS v. Skulls played out in court, CBS opted to withhold royalty payments to Skulls, hoping to force him to settle on unfavorable terms. The lawsuit's first round was eventually decided in Skulls' favor, and Skulls moved the band to MCA Records. Third Stage. Despite the adversity, progress continued to be made on the third Boston album. A tape of one of the songs, Amanda, leaked out of the studio in 1984. The song became the lead single when Third Stage was finally released on September 23, 1986. The album and lead single Amanda, both went to No. 1 on Billboard, and subsequent singles, We're Ready, and Can It Just Say were top 10 and top 30 respectively. The group headed off on tour to promote Third Stage in 1987 and 1988. Third Stage was played in sequence in its entirety during the shows, with expanded arrangements of some cuts. Boston would open with Rock and Roll Band, and brought back the original drummer, Jim Masdy, to play drums for this one song. For the tour the group was joined by Doug Huffman and David Sykes, both of whom stayed with the band into the mid-1990s. The CBS case took 7 years to run its course, and in April 1990 Scholz won. A jury awarded him millions in unpaid royalties and punitive damages. Delp departs. Walk On. By spring 1990, Scholz was back in the studio working on the band's fourth studio album. Later that year, Delp told Scholz he wanted to concentrate on other projects, and might not be available for some time. With Delp's departure, Scholz was now the last remaining original member. Before he left, Delp co-wrote the song Walk On with Scholz and David Sykes, which eventually became the title track of the new album. Delp subsequently joined Barry Goudreau's new band, RTZ. Scholz eventually replaced him with Fran Cosmo, who had previously been in Goudreau's previous band Orion the Hunter. For the second album in a row, and for the second time in a decade, Scholz's work was delayed by renovations to his studio. In the end, 8 years passed between Third Stage and Walk On, which was released in June 1994. Walk On was certified platinum by the RIAA, but only reached no A7 on the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart. Unlike Boston's previous albums, it failed to chart in the top 5. It produced one hit single, I Need Your Love, which was widely played on some rock radio stations. Delp reunited with Boston at the end of 1994. Their first appearance was for 2 benefit shows at the House of Blues on December 12 for Euro 13, 1994 in Cambridge. The band also handed a check of $5,000 to Globe Santa and another check of $5,000 to Operation Christmas in Fall River. The group, with Delp now back in the band, toured in the summer of 1995 with both Cosmo and Delp combining vocals. By this time drummer Huffman had been replaced by Curly Smith, who was previously with JoJo Gunn. Following the conclusion of the Livin' For You tour in 1995, Scholz announced that a greatest hits album would be released. Initially planned for release in August 1996, the album was pushed back to a 1997 release date. Greatest Hits and Corporate America, Boston released a compilation album in 1997, titled simply Boston, Greatest Hits. The album featured all of the band's hit singles except We're Ready, Can It Just Say Still in Love, and I Need Your Love along with 3 new songs, Higher Power, Tell Me, and an instrumental version of the Star-Spangled Banner. Smith and Sykes left the band in late 1997 and recorded an album together. Scholz headed back to the studio in 1998 to begin work on a 5th album, which eventually turned out to be Corporate America. The title track of Corporate America was uploaded by Tom Scholz to mp3.com under the pseudonym of Downers Revenge in early 2002 in order to test the album's appeal to a younger demographic. The song reached no A2 on the progressive rock charts on the website for 2 weeks. November 2002 marked the release of Corporate America on the independent label Artemis Records. This album featured the largest Boston lineup ever. Returning members included Delp and Cosmo on guitar and lead vocals, Scholz on lead guitar and organ, and Gary Pihl on guitar, along with new members Anthony Cosmo on rhythm guitar, Jeff Neal on drums and Kimberly Dahm on bass and vocals. Dahm, Delp, and Cosmo all contributed lead vocals to the album. The group embarked on a national tour in support of the album in 2003 and 2004. In 2006, the first 2 Boston albums appeared in remastered form. Death of Brad Delp. On March 9, 2007, lead singer Brad Delp committed suicide at his home in Atkinson, New Hampshire. Police found Delp dead in his master bathroom, along with several notes for whoever would find him. In the bathroom where Delp committed suicide, 2 charcoal grills were found on the bathroom fixtures, and the door sealed with duct tape and a towel underneath. Police Lieutenant William Baldwin called the death untimely, and said that no foul play was indicated. Delp was alone at the time of his death, according to the police report. Delp was found by his fiancée copyrightee, who saw a dryer hose attached to his car. According to the New Hampshire Medical Examiner, Delp's death was the result of suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning as evidenced by carboxyhemoglobin. Delp's last concert with Boston was performed at Boston Symphony Hall on November 13, 2006, at a concert honoring Doug Flutie. A concert in honor of Delp named Come Together, a tribute to Brad Delp, occurred on August 19, 2007, at the Bank of America Pavilion in Boston. The concert included, in order of appearance, Ernie and the Automatics, Beetlejuice, Fahrenheit, Extreme, Godsmack, RTZ, Orion the Hunter, and finally the current version of Boston. All of the living members of Boston were invited to perform in the concert. The singers for Boston included Michael Sweet of Stryper, former band member Curly Smith, band member Kimberly Dam, and a Boston fan from North Carolina named Tommy DeCarlo, who was chosen to sing based on his performances of Boston cover songs on his MySpace page. Another former Boston vocalist, Fran Cosmo, was unable to sing because of a ruptured blood vessel in his throat, but did play guitar. Jim Masdi, Fran Sheehan, and even Barry Goudreau joined Skulls and the rest of the band on stage for the finale, Don't Look Back. Curly Smith and Kimberly Dam split the lead vocal on the finale. Sib Pashian, while present, refused to go on stage with the other Boston alumni, citing discomfort with Tom Scholes. Slightly more present day, the ongoing conflicts among the surviving band members spilled over to the 2008 presidential campaign. Barry Goudreau appeared with Mike Huckabee and played with him at some rallies in New Hampshire. Huckabee used More Than a Feeling as a campaign theme song. Scholes, a self-described Obama supporter, sent an open letter to Huckabee in February 2008 stating that the band had never endorsed any candidate, and that he had never authorized the use of More Than a Feeling as Huckabee's theme song. Scholes made a point of saying that he, and not Goudreau or Sheehan, actually played all the guitars on More Than a Feeling as well as most of Boston unregistered trademark songs. Huckabee did stop using More Than a Feeling as a theme song. In the spring of 2008, Scholes and Sweet introduced a new Boston lineup, which subsequently did a North American summer tour, playing 53 dates in 12 weeks. Scholes was the only founding member of Boston to play on the tour, although longtime member Gary Piha was also part of the band, and Armin Neal returned on bass and drums, respectively. DeCarlo and Sweet shared lead vocals. In January 2009, Greatest Hits was re-released as a remastered disc. Michael Sweet left the band in August 2011 in order to focus on Stryper. In 2012, guitarist and vocalist David Victor joined the band, beginning in the studio, where he contributed vocals to several tracks on the album In Progress. Scholes and Piha led the band on a 2012 North American tour, beginning on June 28, 2012, at the Seminole Hard Rock Live Arena in Hollywood, Florida and ending on September 8 at the U.S. Cellular Grandstand in Hutchinson, Kansas. Victor and DeCarlo shared lead vocals, with drummer Curly Smith returning for the first time in over a decade, and former Stryper member Tracy Ferry on bass. Neither Dam nor Neal played on the tour. No announcement has been made concerning Dam's status in the band, although her website indicates that she is pursuing a solo career. Her involvement with Boston is spoken of in the past tense. She toured with Boston playing bass and singing from 2001 until 2012. Present day, Boston's sixth album was released on December 3, 2013, by Frontiers Records. Life, Love and Hope includes lead vocals from Brad Delp, Tommy DeCarlo, Kimberly Dam, David Victor, and Tom Scholes. Work on the album started in 2002. On December 11, 2013, Boston released a Christmas song, God Rest Ye Metal Gentlemen 2013. In 2014 Boston embarked on the Heaven on Earth tour spanning the United States and Japan. Spaceship, one of the themes of Boston's albums is the presence of a guitar-shaped spaceship, ostensibly a colony ship bearing the city of Boston, with the city's name emblazoned across the front. Appearances, Boston. Two long lines of guitar-shaped starships flee a planet that is breaking apart. The ships all have blue flames coming out of the bottom. Don't Look Back, the Boston ship is flying low or perhaps hovering over a grassy, crystalline planet. The ship has searchlights on. Third stage, the Boston ship is either headed towards, or perhaps has just undocked from, a large flat spaceship resembling a bank of pipe organ pipes. Walk on, the Boston ship is shown crashing through a rock outcropping. Greatest hits, the Boston ship is flying low over a planet with turquoise rocks and a turquoise tower in the distance. Corporate America, the Boston ship is flying towards an Earth-like planet. Life, Love and Hope, the Boston ship is flying in space, near a nebula. Their spaceship also appeared on their late 80s and early 90s tours in the form of a giant lighting rig and accompanied on stage by their giant pipe organ set piece, which is known to Boston insiders as Bertha, because of its sheer size. Innovation and style, Boston's genre is considered by most to be hard rock, while combining elements of progressive rock into their music. Former singer Brad Delp was well known for his extended vocal ranges, shown on hits such as More Than a Feeling. Guitarist and primary songwriter Tom Skolt's blend of musical styles, ranging from classical to 1960s English pop, has resulted in a unique sound, most consistently realized on the first two albums. This sound is characterized by multiple lead and blended harmonies guitar work, often alternating between and then mixing electric and acoustic guitars. The band's harmonic style has been characterized as being violin-like without using synthesizers. Skoltz is well regarded for the development of complex, multi-tracked guitar harmonies. Another contributing factor is the use of handmade, high-tech equipment, such as the Rockman, used by artists such as Journey guitarist Neil Schon, the band ZZ Top, and Ted Nugent. Def Leppard's album Hysteria was created using only Rockman technology. Skolt's production style combines deep, aggressive, comparatively short guitar riffing and nearly ethereal, generally longer note vocal harmonies. A heavier, lower and darker overall approach came in the next two albums. The original track, Higher Power, on the Greatest Hits album exhibits a near-Germanic, almost techno influence with its sequencer-sounding keyboards, a sound most fully realized on Corporate America's title track. Singer Brad Delp, who was strongly influenced by the Beatles, is also credited for helping to create Boston's sound with his signature vocal style. Band members. Current members, Tom Skoltz lead and rhythm guitar, bass, keyboards, percussion, backing vocals, Gary Pihela rhythm and lead guitar, keyboards, backing vocals, Curly Smith drums, percussion, harmonica, backing vocals, Kimberly Dharma bass, guitar, vocals, Jeff Neal drums, percussion, backing vocals, Tommy DeCarlo lead vocals, keyboards, percussion, David Victor guitar, vocals, Tracy Ferry bass guitar, backing vocals, discography. Studio albums, references. External links, official site.